Hello and welcome back to the Now We Know Show, the show where we discuss a topic of interest and by the end we will have learned something new and hopefully you will too. I'm Zak.
And I'm Buzz, and in this episode we're talking about Krampus, the Christmas demon.
Ah! If you enjoy the Now We Know Show podcast, why not support Zak Wylde Productions on our Patreon page? Become an official ZWP patron for as little as £1 a month for exclusive early access to all our latest episodes, videos, behind the scenes, updates and more. So, before we get into Krampus, it's time for Word of the Week, 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 Word of the Week. So, Word of the Week is all about old English words we don't use anymore. All you have to do is write down what you think it means in the comments, and we will then reveal what it means at the end of the episode so you can find out if you got it right. The Word of the Week this week is circudary.
Circudary.
Spelt C-I-R-C-U-D-R-I-E. Circudary.
No Googling.
So comment below what you think circudary means. Find out at the end of the episode.
Excellent. Right.
Krampus.
Krampus. Who is Krampus? What is Krampus? What is it all about? Anyway.
I've heard of Krampus.
Well, let's start from the beginning. You're standing here with your Christmas hat on.
Uh-oh. That is telltale signs that it may be the Christmas season.
You're playing the part of St. Nicholas.
Ha-ha!
Whereas I have my Krampus hat on. My horned hat.
The horned beast.
That's it. And I have my Krampus bell.
Yep. Yes, listeners, it does say Krampus on it.
Yes, but you're lucky because I didn't bring my sticks in with me to beat you with.
Oh dear.
Or my basket to put you in.
I dare say we're going to find out all about this during this podcast.
We certainly are. So, Zak, what have you heard about Krampus?
Well, I've heard about Krampus that it's kind of this horned demon that stalks children during the Christmas season.
Okay.
My knowledge really stems from a lot of movies that have recently come out based around Krampus.
Krampus has become kind of a popular figure in films in recent years, and we're going to look at that later on.
Yes, we are.
After we discuss where Krampus and the festival of Krampusnacht comes from.
Okay.
Because that's really what happens these days. It stems from the festival of Krampusnacht, which is Krampus night.
Oh.
And
is that German?
It's German and Austrian. It's sort of from the Germanic regions.
Right.
Basically is where it comes from.
So there's obviously a lot of history surrounding it.
Yes, there certainly is. So let's take a look at that history, and hopefully I will be able to enlighten you and our wonderful listeners to what or who Krampus is exactly and where it stems from. When it comes to celebrating Yuletide or Christmas, people usually these days think of it, we've got to build up to Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Have Christmas Day, stuff your face with as much as you can, drink loads, feel like, I've consumed 10,000 calories and whatever. Keel over in an armchair and fall asleep, and then the following day, on Boxing Day is what we call it in the UK, then everybody goes, thank goodness that's over for another year. That's not what I do when it comes to celebrating the festive season.
Perchance, what do we do for Christmas?
Well, everybody does it different. People who are Christians obviously celebrate Christmas in a Christian fashion.
As the birth of Christ.
There's an awful lot of people these days that aren't Christians but celebrate Christmas of a time of, as it is, it's meant to be a time of celebration and goodwill to all, and spreading the milk of human kindness.
Yeah.
Let's say that. And then there's other people that are more into their paganism and they prefer to celebrate Yule, and being the Viking I am, I like to celebrate more of a Viking-style Christmas.
I think you're leaving out a portion of the population, the bar humbugs, that
don't
celebrate Christmas.
Yes, we do know a few bar humbugs. And then I do it my way, which is a winter festival based on...
Yeah, what do you call it?
it's a winter festival. It's called Winter Festival, but I call it Winterfest.
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 I like that. I like that.
Winterfest, which starts off with Beowulf Day.
Oh, yes.
On the 24th of December. However, if we're talking about the Christian style of Christmas, then an awful lot of people see that starts on the 6th of December.
Right, and why is that?
Well, it's St. Nicholas Day.
Okay.
St. Nicholas Day is the 6th of September and goes through to the 6th of January, 12th night, if that's correct. And so you've got a big period. I mean, in the medieval period, when Christmas was celebrated, it went on for a long period of time. I think it was a good three-week celebration.
Right.
And it was a time
I would not say no to a 3-week celebration.
Well, it was a time of feasting and partying and seeing, relations and friends in your village or town. It was a time of abundance because you've gotten past harvest. You've got an awful lot of food that doesn't necessarily keep well over the winter period.
Right.
So there's an excess of fruits, vegetables, etc. And obviously people would have stored them, preserved them, smoked them, salted meats and everything else. But if you have an excess, this is a time to basically eat it as you're going in.
Party time!
As you're going into, the dark half of the year.
Right.
And then you've got winter to get through before spring starts. So we've got this festival that originally lasted for a period of time, and now for a lot of people, and especially commercial companies, they've kind of boiled it down to all happen on one day.
Yeah.
So there's so much pressure.
A Christmas blowout, if you will.
There's this huge build-up that usually starts in September, if not before these days.
Yeah, adverts, all on the TV.
Where there's the pressure to buy goods and to make Christmas the perfect Christmas. And then you all the Christmas music that you hear continually in the shops and on the radio and everywhere else. And I don't mind Christmas music. I actually quite like it,
especially during December.
Yeah, and I like Christmas carols as well. So they always make me feel Christmassy, and because it reminds me of my childhood. I had fantastic Christmases when I was a kid, and I was from a very poor family, but that didn't matter. It wasn't about being given the most expensive presents. It was about the few little gifts that you got and the time you spent with your family and the playing of games and really enjoying it.
Oh, that's nice.
And back when I was a kid, we had an open fire, and I just have wonderful memories of a childhood that wasn't a rich childhood by any means, but it was rich in what I experienced. Yeah?
So you're saying that this celebration kind of starts around St. Nicholas Day, which is the 6th of December.
That's right. So, but to round off what I was saying, because of commercialism, everybody's crammed into it. Must make this one perfect down the 25th of December. And if it doesn't happen, if it's not perfect, it's so much pressure and it's ruined. Which is silly. If people could ease back and maybe
spread it
out, and Krampusnacht would be a good time to start.
Ooh.
So what we have is St. Nicholas Day on, as I say, the 6th of December. But the night before is Krampusnacht.
It's on the 5th.
On the 5th.
Ooh.
And we need to probably start with the origins of as you describe, this demonic creature, which has over the centuries changed form in certain ways, but mostly depicted as in a humanish type of form, but more of a goat-like human.
Is it kind of like a satyr? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, that's the thing. You have these characters like pan characters, which are not only in Eastern European country folklore, but also in folklore from across the world. The same kind of creatures come up again and again, where it's the legs of a goat, but
body of a man
and horns. Very Satan-looking, the way the Christian church
made
Satan.
That's interesting. Is there kind of like a connection to the devil and stuff with this?
When we're talking about and focusing on the origins of Krampus, these stem from rituals which are very pagan. So
right.
These would have been Germanic pagan rituals.
These are quite like ancient.
Way before Christianity came in.
And kind of adopted it.
Well,
did it adopt it?
Absorb
it.
That's the kind of thing with a lot of religions, and speaking solely on aspect of Christianity. Christianity, when it starts to take over, whether it be in the Scandinavian countries with the Norse mythology, or in this case with Germanic pagan celebrations, you've already got entrenched traditions within
They've lasted
communities
for lifetimes.
Beyond people's memory. And so introducing a new religion, a religion such as Christianity, tried to quash these kind of...
That's a good word, quash.
Yeah, quash, and to get rid of these kind of very traditional pagan
ideas and celebrations, yeah.
Exactly. But the problem is the pagan celebrations are so popular and enjoyed so much that they end up, in a lot of cases, bowing to the local traditions and kind of end up, as you say, incorporating them in.
Right.
Watering them down.
That's sneaky. That's a sneaky move.
So that people can keep those traditions but still follow a new religion.
So you're saying these really enjoyable celebrations, what was it that made them so
Christians
enjoyable?
Don't enjoy themselves, by the way. But I'm just saying, talking about the history...
Well, these pagan...
Yeah, talking about the history of Krampus is what we're talking about tonight.
So these pagan rituals and celebrations, what was it that really made them so enjoyable?
What
did they do?
I suppose you had to be there. I would imagine it would have been a lot of, again, feasting, drinking of, whatever the traditional drinks would have been back then. Probably mead, probably the oldest type of fermented alcoholic drink that I can think of in Europe would be mead, because that is fermented from honey. And there would be dancing and probably a lot of fertility rites. We're coming into we've now come into winter, so we've got the long dark nights. People have got to get through winter.
Well, that's it. The actual sunlight now, it's kind of getting dark around lunchtime, isn't it?
Oh, I think sunset today in the UK. Obviously that varies because you can be in Scotland, but I think for Middle England, where we are, I think it was about 3 minutes to 4 in the afternoon.
And that's as of time of recording, by the way.
Yeah, as of time of recording. We're recording this and it is Tuesday.
Yeah.
But Sunday, in Scandinavia, there is a town right in the north of Scandinavia known as Tromsø, which is now past the Arctic Circle. And the Arctic Circle being the line between where the sun rises and sets. So on Sunday was the last day they had of sunlight.
What? So it's just dark all the time?
Completely dark now.
Wow. How long does that last?
The sun won't come back above the horizon, I think, until about... I haven't got the dates in front of me, but I think it's about the 12th, 15th of January.
Okay, so in the new year.
Yeah,
wow.
The new year.
That's kind of creepy, but also cool.
So they've got this period of time when they're in complete darkness.
Wow.
No sunlight.
30 days of night all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I do believe it swings the other way. So, they'll, in the summertime, they have no night.
That's weird to think about.
Anyway, so you can imagine these old pagan folk living. I mean, obviously, we've got global warming that we always mentioned global warming. But back in the Victorian times in the UK, we used to have on the River Thames what were known as frost fairs.
Yeah, the frost fairs.
Where the Thames would completely freeze solid.
Was it true at one point they had elephants on it?
Yep. Yeah, I believe so.
Wow.
But they used to put the booths up, which is an old-fashioned term for a tent. But the tents would be erected on the ice. There'd be ice skating. The River Thames would freeze so solid that the ice was that thick. It was probably a couple of feet thick minimum.
When was the last frost fair?
I believe the late 1800s.
Wow. Okay.
So we've had a period now of just over 100 years where.
No.
1963. We had a really, really bad winter in the UK.
Yeah.
But progressively, as we've noticed, we're getting warmer.
Warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer.
Less and less snow. And harking back to my childhood, it was just like a guarantee. I remember in the shed in the garden, we had the sleds hanging up.
Oh, cool.
My father built... I remember this lovely wooden sled that my father built me. And back then you could go to your blacksmith, because we still had
Local blacksmith.
Yeah,
Wow.
still like, well, blacksmiths are still around because they still do all the shodding of the shoes on horses. You know, when a horse needs to be shod, you need a blacksmith. But there was probably more around at the time. And so I remember he built this sled for me, and then got some where you had cartwheels. They had a metal band that ran round the wheel. They didn't have like a rubber tyre on them or a wooden wheel. You needed a metal
To kind of hold it together.
Well, not to hold it together, but also to wear
To increase the kind of
durability.
duration of how much it could be used.
So you got some of that metal and put the strips under the runners.
That's clever.
And then he painted it red. And I remember this red sled that we had.
Oh, nice.
I absolutely loved that as a kid. But the thing was, the reason I mention it was guaranteed every year that sled had come out of the shed and we'd go sledding.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Honestly. What happened?
Building snowmen, even trying to make, rudimentary igloos as us kids did.
Snow now is just like wishful thinking.
Yeah, wishful thinking.
Like, the association between Christmas and snow is like every year. Advertising everywhere.
You mean the kids that go into McDonald's and they come out and look, it's suddenly snowing.
Yeah, and everything. All the advertisements on shop windows,
snow,
cakes,
snowmen,
whatever. Snow everywhere. Except actually the weather.
Yeah, the weather doesn't like us in the UK at the moment for that. Not to say we won't get snow. And obviously, again, we're in Middle England, but higher up, Sheffield and above, they
Fingers and toes crossed.
But even when they do get snow in the UK, it doesn't seem to last that long.
No.
When you're talking about the Scandinavian countries, it's there for months.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're living...
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, well, not everybody likes snow.
There's
going to be people listening to this saying, stop your snow, you can keep your snow. But I think that's the other thing, people get used to living in that environment where if you don't have snow, you don't have to think about snow, you don't have to deal with snow, then going to work and commuting and all those things, your trains are running on time, nothing really gets disrupted. And you get kind of used to that in life. But then when the snow comes and you get the disruption, and you know what it's like, we get a flurry of snow on the road in the UK and suddenly there's accidents left, right and centre.
Well, that's it.
Everything goes to pot. The whole country shuts down.
I remember being a bit younger and having snow days at school where they'd call off school.
Yeah, but when I was a kid in the 70s, we would trudge to snow. So when I was a kid in the 70s, we would trudge to school in the deep snow, get to school, and we'd sit at the desks with our coats on because the heating system had broken down, and that's what it was. And then we all went out in the playground, had mass snowball fights, which I don't think you kids are allowed to do anymore.
No, not allowed.
And go home again. It wasn't like snow days. To be fair, a lot of the teachers probably lived near to the schools back then. Nowadays, a lot of teachers commute in, and if they can't get the teachers into the schools, and the parents commute in, and because not everybody can live near the school, so there's other factors involved. Suffice to say that the last time I was in Finland, going from the UK, you came with us on that trip to Finland.
Yeah, when I was little.
And we flew out there, and we landed on the airstrip, and the whole airstrip was just thick ice. You literally went down the stairs onto the tarmac of the airstrip and you were sliding all over the place. But getting in vehicles and driving to the hotel where we were staying, they're just driving like normal. Thick snow, they got the snow chains on, they're just going for it because they're used to living in those conditions. So we're going back to a time talking about Krampus where our pagan ancestors, our Germanic ancestors are enjoying these feasts and revelries. And Christianity comes along and kind of adopts them, tries to squash them.
Doesn't quite
really
work.
So we'll adopt it along the way, and get sort of like making the most of it. You see what I mean? So we kind of talked a little bit about what it's like to be in the UK and how the weather's changed and things, but ultimately, Krampusnacht is all about the Christmas demon, and let's find out what he is, and what their job is. Okay?
Right.
So Christmas is a wonderful time of the year when a nice man with a big white beard,
Ho, ho, ho!
Wearing red, it's you, Zak.
It's me!
Yeah, wearing red, he brings gifts to all the well-behaved children.
Are you well-behaved, Buzz?
I try my best. It's a time of joy and love, and when everybody is meant to stand around the piano singing Christmas carols, eating mince pies, warming themselves by the open
jolly
fire.
old time.
Jolly old time, and being nice to everybody.
Maybe a
for
good
change.
a cheese board.
Everybody being nice to
I'd like a cheese board.
Cheese board is a good idea. However, for those who haven't gotten over Halloween and want a little bit more horror in their festive season, Krampus, the Christmas demon, might make a surprise trip to visit them if they've been naughty this year.
Oh no.
So for all those people out there that are going, I know what it's like. We see it on social media. It's like, yeah, Halloween's coming. There's
Then everyone gets Halloween withdrawal symptoms.
So if you've got Halloween withdrawal symptoms, Krampus.
Extend it
with Krampus. Okay, so let's dive into the story of Krampus, the Christmas demon. The legend of Krampus, comes from, as I've already said, Central European folklore, primarily Germanic, if you like. The name Krampus comes from the German word Krampen, meaning claw. Okay, so when you see these images of Krampus, he's got like big clawed hands. Most of them are like big sharp fangs. He's got his horns. Some of them have like double horns, don't they?
Yeah. It's great seeing some of the costumes people come up with.
We might call him Krampus now, but Krampus has also been known over the years by many different names which have been attached to him, such as Klaubath.
Klaubath? That sounds like somebody with a giant club.
Bartel.
Oh, that's cute.
Bartel, just with an extra E. Niglobartel.
That's a bit more complicated.
Woobartel.
Sounds like a surprise Bartel.
Pelzelblock.
Sorry?
Pelsnickel. You'll like this one. Grumpfennickel.
Oh, yeah, that's my favourite.
Krampuses, with a Z on the end.
Now, that reminds me of a pumpernickel.
A pumpernickel. Pumpernickel.
Do you know what that is?
A pumpernickel, if I recall, if you don't know, if you've heard of pumpernickel is a bread. I think that's a German bread, pumpernickel. But the word means fart goblin.
Yeah. Pumpernickel.
If you
fart
say
goblin.
If you know somebody who doesn't know that pumpernickel means fart goblin, then by all means go, you're my favourite little pumpernickel. And they'll have no idea. Anyway, so Krampus is this Christmas demon, and he's meant to come, and he's kind of, he coming from pagan times, they used to do what's called a Krampus run, where they would dress up in skins, animal skins, sheep skins.
Kind of like ancient cosplay.
That's it. Put wooden masks representing
kind of
Krampus.
like mummers.
Yeah, like mummers. We've discussed mummers before. So put these masks, wooden masks on, put the fur on, and then on Krampusnacht they would run through the village or wherever they are with chains. Chains may have come later on with Christianity, but they certainly had bells. Okay, they had their bells, and they also carry. Krampus is known to either have a sack or a wicker basket on his back.
And what's that for?
Let's get to that.
Presents?
Not quite. It's the reverse. So they've got this basket here he carries, and a lot of birch twigs, like what we call you make a faggot of twigs to burn on the fire. So you'd have these birch twigs, and they're for beating the children. So Krampus would come on Krampusnacht, and he would be there to specifically teach the naughty children a lesson. And the naughty children would be beaten with the birch twigs.
Oh dear.
They'd be stuffed into his basket, and they would be carried off to the underworld.
Oh dear.
Where they would be tortured and eaten.
Lovely.
And Krampus isn't necessarily just Krampus by himself. There may be more Krampus, if you see.
So it's kind of like a species,
like a collective
of demons.
So they would do a Krampus run through the village, ringing the bells. And Krampus, I think, is meant to have these bells because, in kind of a dark way, we associate listening out for Santa and the reindeer with bells. So the bells are presumed to attract the children.
Oh, it's like a lure.
A lure. He uses the bells to lure the children.
I love it.
So you get this little look, it's Santa.
Come on, children. Let me sneak you into my basket.
And then suddenly you're off to the underworld.
You're whipped up and beaten with twigs.
That's it, exactly. And so...
Why are we smiling at this? This should be scary.
It should be scary, exactly. So as I say, Krampus is this Christmas demon, eats children, bless him, and said to be a companion of St. Nicholas, who is known to obviously give gifts to the poor and the well-behaved. Krampus, on the other hand, comes during the Christmas period to kidnap, as I've already said, to kidnap children who misbehave as a form of punishment. The true origins of Krampus are unclear and undetermined, as I've already mentioned, and it's kind of suggested, as I say, that the whole celebration, if you like, of Krampus and Krampusnacht dates back as far as pre-Christian origins. Yeah. However, we're talking about Krampus and we're talking about pre-Christian pagan festivals.
Mm-hmm.
There was a pagan goddess known as Percha, which again was worshipped in the Germanic regions, and she was a kind of a goddess who was both good and evil. Yeah,
right. So kind of like a female Santa.
Yeah, if you like, that was meant to bestow gifts on the good people.
Mrs. Claus, almost.
Almost. And punish the bad people, you see.
Oh, that's going a bit darker.
So she was worshipped in the Alpine regions. It's kind of upper Germany, the Austrian regions of the Alps. And her name, Percha, meant the bright one. And even the brothers Grimm mention Percha in their stories and mention that she was from the upper German regions, okay?
So is she kind of like this
she
half malevolent spirit that's kind of almost like Krampus, or is Krampus?
No, she's not Krampus, not at this pre-Christian era. So we're talking early paganism, as far back as we can find any kind of information about Percha. But she was a deity that was celebrated and worshipped, but she was that, if you like, good, with also the shadow, her opposite flip side of evil.
Right.
Okay. So she was a deity that was both good and bad, and over time Percha changed from being a goddess figure to actually being two separate Percha.
Huh.
And at that point they start to become described as what we see Krampus as now, these kind of pan-like goat demons. However, one of the Percha was good and one was evil. Okay, so you've got the kind of good and bad tradition of, you better behave yourself, you'll get the blessings of the good one, and if you don't, then you're going to have to face the bad one.
Or get given coal, is that something to do with Krampus?
I don't know exactly whether that was... It's certainly associated with Krampus, and it's certainly associated with, if you're a bad child... when I was a kid,
it's a saying, isn't it?
I was associated that Santa or Father Christmas or St. Nicholas or Sinterklaas would leave a lump of coal for bad children.
Or
Thor. Sinterklaas, there you go. That's just for another day, that is.
For another day.
For another day. Anyway, so I believe that, yes, coal is also associated with Krampus.
You'll get coal in a stocking. But the thing about being given coal in a stocking is that it's actually quite useful. Mm-hmm. Unless it's just one lump. Is it one lump or like loads?
I just think it's just a lump. If it was loads, I'd be happy because you can put it on the fire and it stay warm. So, way. Anyway, so Christianity starts to come in. You've got these people that are still doing, celebrating these old Alpine Germanic pagan rituals and enjoying themselves. And as we've already said, it gets melded into the Christian belief because the Christians aren't able to completely exorcise it from the locals' traditions, you see. So St. Nicholas appears, who is the all-malevolent character who rewards people and blesses people. But he needs his dark side. So Krampus is... The tradition of Krampus at this point has now been tagged on to St. Nicholas as his helper. So Krampus is like the opposite to St. Nicholas, but helps St. Nicholas. But
They're a double act.
They're a double act. St. Nicholas kind of allows him to deal with all the naughty children on Krampusnacht, you see.
Huh.
And as I say, that's this is where I did mention about chains. From my research, I don't believe the chains were associated pre-Christian. From what I found, it is that associating Krampus with having chains as well as his bells to lure the children in is an introduction possibly from the Christian church to mark the binding of the devil in chains.
Well, that would make sense given it's Krampus and that's association with devil.
Yeah, exactly. So Krampus, when we're talking about the being associated with the devil and his look, because he's like that demonic goat, again, he's shown at times to actually have one human leg and then one goat leg.
Ooh, I don't like that at all. That's weird.
That's weird. But in most depictions, having both being goat legs, and it's very popular. And back in the 1800s, when it became popular to send Christmas cards, images of Krampus were often sent out, and they were both kind of saucy as well as terrifying.
Maybe one for Hellraiser fans.
Perhaps. Anyway, so Krampus, as I say, his appearance has changed, and of course now his appearance, except in movies, where they've started to take more of a demonised approach to him.
Well, if you're moving into the kind of movie territory, then that's kind of where I came into the idea of knowing Krampus.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a moment, but in fact, Krampus was originally depicted, as I said, as a half goat, half demon with a mangled, deranged face, bloodshot eyes, hairy black body, a long pointed, I forgot about the long pointed tongue, and sharp fangs, and horns that curl up from his head. And Krampus is often pictured, as I've already mentioned, with one human foot and one cloven foot. And that's how it kind of sat for many years. Although the modern depictions of Krampus, the Christmas demon, are still terrifying in appearance, he has kind of been made more wholesome in terms of how he takes his victims, but he keeps some original aspects that made him terrifying to begin with. Krampus is known to have some important appearance details that relate back to Christian and pagan traditions, such as I say, the chains and the bells and the birch twigs to beat people with. And even today, they still have Krampus runs where
they're
festivals.
Do they hold them in England at all?
I don't believe so.
Because looking into it, I think there was something up at Whitby.
Do you know, there may well have been. Now you mention it. I
think there's a Krampus run up at Whitby.
It could be. If there is, it's a recent introduction in the recent year or years. Maybe because we had COVID, it's probably maybe it just started before COVID, and then there's no chance to do anything. But certainly in Austria and Germany, they have Krampus runs where again people.
Oh, well, they're embedded into
they dress up
the annual celebrations.
Yeah,
so.
and they're part of the Christmas celebration, and people will come to watch all the Krampus run through the streets, and they will. They will give you a clout.
That's the thing.
I think they're allowed to hit you on the back of the leg.
I came across a TripAdvisor advert for a Krampus runs occurring,
really? Did you?
And what they said was, "Hold on to your valuables."
Righty ho. Interesting enough, the bundles of birch twigs that they carry, that you often see Krampus carrying to strike people with.
Yeah.
The bundle is actually a traditional symbol of Alpine pagan origin, known as a rutan.
A rutan?
A rutan. Spelled R-U-T-E-N. Or rutan.
Rutan, okay.
Rutan. I'll pronounce it rutan.
Rutan, that's kind of like your Doctor Who kind of green blobby monster. But we're not talking about Doctor Who. We're talking about Krampus.
So anyway, these were made up by binding up twigs of fresh cut birch branches and used for whipping, basically.
How lovely.
That's it. And so some people use gold-painted rutan still to hang on their walls in their homes to remind the children of Krampus and to behave themselves.
I think I heard something about that, yeah.
So they're still using these bundles of rutan, these birch twigs.
Be good, children!
They're spraying them with gold paint. They've become a traditional Christmas decoration.
I tell you what, we should do that. That would be really cool.
We'll go and get a bundle of birch twigs.
Spray them gold and put them on the mantelpiece.
Well, I'm a traditionalist. I wouldn't spray them gold. I'd just.
Birch.
bind
Birch.
them up, hang them up as naturally.
There we go.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. We should start a bit more, add to our Krampus celebrations.
Well, we've got the bell.
That's it. You have to. You see that's you do it like this. I'm Krampus.
Yeah, you're Krampus. I'm St. Nicholas. I don't know how to operate your bell.
Stop fiddling with my bells. Anyway, so as a Krampus has been known to carry these rooten, which he will occasionally swat children with. So even on the traditional Krampus runs now, they'll still carry these bundles of rooten. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, or rutten maybe. But they'll still carry them, and they'll still whack people on the back of the legs with them if you're not careful.
Don't wear skirts.
Don't wear skirts. I don't want to wear skirts. I might wear a kilt. It depends.
But don't go to a Krampus run whilst wearing a kilt.
So Krampus, actually, Zak, Krampus has various ways of attacking and kidnapping victims, and sometimes he appears with a sack, as I've already mentioned, or a basket on his back to cart away naughty children for drowning and eating. Ooh.
Drowning and eating.
And transporting them to the underworld. Oh. In some of the earlier versions of Krampus, some depict naughty children being put in a bag and taken away. Other way he attacks is by poking the children with sticks and scaring some with the realisation of them being naughty, although the main depiction of Krampus is him kidnapping children.
Oh joy.
So in Germany and Austria and the places that still celebrate these traditional Krampusnacht, these Krampus nights, it's celebrated, as I say, on the 5th of December, the day before the feast of St. Nicholas, which is on the 6th.
Remember, everyone, Krampus night is on the 5th of December.
That's it. That's when he's going to come. If you've been naughty, he goes straight in the sack. Anyway, Krampus night is when the wicked devil appears in the streets, sometimes with St. Nicholas. As I say, St. Nicholas's helper is depicted as. So he visits homes and businesses of those that have misbehaved, while the saint often appears in vestments of a bishop and carries a golden ceremonial staff. St. Nicholas only concerns himself with the good children, while Krampus only concerns himself with the bad children. And these both differ from America's Santa Claus, with his black Wellington boots and Coca-Cola.
Is that actually where it came from, that whole association with bread?
I believe... No. Because obviously St. Nicholas is depicted in red. I believe in Holland, in the Netherlands, I believe that's Cinder Claus, or St. Nicholas there wears green. It was also traditional for him to have a helper known as Black Peter. But I don't know if they still do that in recent years because of racial issues, having somebody blacked up as Black Peter. I don't know if that still goes on. But of course, when we're talking about American Father Christmas or Santa Claus, I believe I'm right in saying that stems from a Coca-Cola ad campaign with the big fat.
We all know which one it is. We've all seen the advert.
Yeah, with the big jolly fat Father Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
With the black boots and the big beard advertising campaign.
Enjoying Coca-Cola.
Which is different from the traditional St. Nicholas Father Christmas, if you like. To answer your earlier question, though, Zak, St. Nicholas will give candy and nice presents to children, while Krampus gives coal and hits them with his rooten sticks.
Love it.
Yeah, there we go. So anyway, again, Europeans have been sending and receiving greeting cards with Krampus on since the 1800s, which is what I mentioned earlier. Usually on those cards, it reads, Gruß von Krampus. I'll say that again. On those cards, it reads, Gruß vom Krampus, which translates to greetings from Krampus. And they usually depict the menacing figure of Krampus looking over children, and there might be funny rhymes or poems in the card, and him sticking children in his basket or hitting them with sticks and them crying and all sorts of things like that. But even now, those sort of cards have been toned down over the years, and the representation of Krampus has changed. Older styles of the cards were very much scarier compared to modern cards that depict him, and he's now being depicted as a more of a Cupid-like creature, which has also been featured on postcards and candy packing. So they've really sort of toned him down. But I do remember seeing a news broadcast with, I think it was in a shopping centre in Germany, where they had this fantastic display. And, in the UK, when we have, you go into a shopping centre, they have animated reindeer, don't they?
Yeah.
Little heads that bob up and down, or a penguin that's
Polar bear.
polar.
Christmas
Why?
tree.
Why? I don't know. Penguins live in the South Pole. I don't understand.
It doesn't make geographical
It
sense.
doesn't make geographical sense. Santa's from the North Pole. They have penguins. But anyway, maybe somebody can write in the comments and explain why they have penguins in the North Pole at Christmas. But anyway, so we have these displays of all these lovely little animals doing things. Whereas in Germany, in the shopping centre, there's this fantastic thing where there's this giant Krampus who's got this child by the ankle and he's lifting the screaming child and the child's screaming, and then he's being dunked in his sack. And all the kids are there going, wow, that's brilliant.
That's brilliant. Why can't we have decorations like this?
It's traumatizingly terrifying, but it was really good.
It teaches to keep your kids in line.
Ooh, remember the Krampus spell. So yeah, so that is kind of my
Remember the 5th of December.
yeah, Krampusnacht and bells. Anyway, so that's kind
That was good, actually. I quite like that.
So that's kind of where, from its early origins of Krampus coming from this goddess, perhaps this goddess Pectu, all the way through to being blended in with Christianity and having to accept that the locals like their pagan traditions and making him the darker side of St. Nicholas. There you go. And that's why we have Krampusnacht, and they still have Krampus runs. But you said, quite rightly so, you were kind of introduced to Krampus, although
Via the movies.
I've been familiar with Krampus
For a while.
for many years, but the characters become more popular
Through the movies.
through the movies and to use as a movie character. So that's where you come in, because you've obviously learned about Krampus.
I've seen a few of the movies. We've got a few of them with us here today.
Yeah, and I think probably what we're going to do now that all our listeners know what Krampusnacht is about,
Yeah.
what Krampus is, what he looks like, that he comes and punishes and steals away the naughty children. Perhaps if the listeners haven't indulged in watching any Krampus movies,
Definitely do.
this is the opportunity for you listeners to learn maybe what's good and what's not so good. Overall, you've made a list of the movies.
I've made a list. Now, this list does include films we haven't yet seen. Or have.
Right,
obviously.
so you've basically accumulated a list of as many Krampus movies as you have been able to find.
They have whether or not they're actually Krampus movies is debatable by some of them.
Right.
But they have Krampus in the title.
Okay.
At least to some extent. Or include Krampus.
Okay, I appreciate that, because I know a movie that we watched recently, which, yeah, we'll get to that. So you've got a list of these Krampus associated
Yeah,
movies.
it's about 10.
About 10.
About
So
10.
do you want to read out the list of
Some
movies?
of which we have seen.
Okay, and we're gonna review for you listeners the ones we've seen, but let's have the whole list, Zach.
Okay. Krampus,
Okay,
The Devil Returns,
that's one.
which is a sequel to Krampus, the Christmas Devil.
Okay, that's two.
Krampus Unleashed,
3,
Krampus, The Reckoning,
4,
Krampus Origins,
5,
Mother Krampus 2, Sleigh Ride,
6,
Mother Krampus,
7,
A Christmas Horror Story,
8,
Krampus,
9.
Rare Exports.
Ah, yes, rare exports, 10.
And there we go.
So there's our 10.
So of those, we have seen 5.
So let's look at those 5 now, and let's review them for the listeners, because actually some of these are gems and some of them stink. I like both a good Christmas movie, Die Hard. I like a good Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas
movie. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't care if you say it isn't. It is. Anyway, so I like a good Christmas movie. I like a good horror movie. And blending the two at this festive time of the year, call me weird, but it's really quite fun. And when I get it right, they get it right. And when I get it wrong,
They get it so
wrong.
So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be ranking some of the Krampus films that we've actually seen.
That we've seen. Okay.
So,
What have we got first?
first up, Mother Krampus.
Mother Krampus.
Or Mother Krampus 2 Sleigh Ride.
Right.
Which is what we discovered when we actually put it in the DVD player.
Right. Because the actual cover actually just says Mother Krampus. Whereas, as you say, it's a sequel. But it didn't have any obvious thing. And on the cover, it depicts a lady who looks like she's come out of a TV screen.
Yeah, she kind of looks a bit Christmassy, I guess.
She's in like a Christmas outfit, like a Santa Claus outfit.
Misleading front cover, this
one. She also looks, she's in a forest, and she also looks like the thing, what's the one, the Ring, when she comes out the TV screen.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine that character with a red dress on and a hood, like Red Riding Hood, has nothing to do with the movie at all.
Has nothing to do
with the movie. In fact, Krampus, I believe, was never even mentioned in the movie.
No. It's just called Mother Krampus. There is no connection to Krampus whatsoever. It's really mind-boggling.
It was it was Christmas in the movie.
Yeah.
But that's it.
It's just about an escaped lunatic that kills some people. And the weird thing about it was that if you're a fan of the Halloween franchise, it looked like a Captain Kirk Halloween mask. Yeah,
it looked like they'd done
they put a wig on it.
It was basically female Michael Myers.
Yeah, but really bad.
Really bad.
So bad.
So it's okay. This is in the number one position at the moment because we haven't looked at any other movies.
We're gonna have to change that pronto.
Because that is a real. How did you say it? It was a big pile of Crapmas. Yes. Anyway, what have we got next?
Next up, Krampus the Christmas Devil.
Okay.
Now, notice the cover on this one. We're going to see another one in a minute.
Okay.
But the cover is somewhat looks like that.
Okay, now I kind of remember watching this one, but I don't think I've seen it for...
Now this, as opposed to Mother Krampus, actually has Krampus in it.
Okay.
And I thought this was going to be the super bad one, but then I saw Mother Krampus.
Hang on a second. Is this the one where Krampus has got somebody in a cage?
Yes.
Oh dear.
In a somewhat
yes, in a kind of
unclothed fashion.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
It was weird because then it had Santa in it as well, but he was effing and blinding.
Yeah, he was a bad Santa.
Bad Santa.
It's bad Santa. Bad Santa's a good movie.
Good movie.
This one isn't.
No.
Okay, so this one is now going. This is really mad. This one's getting first place. Because it was actually better than Mother Krampus.
And I didn't even think that was possible.
No, Krampus the Christmas Devil is so bad, you kind of like thought it couldn't get any worse.
Yeah.
Until we watched Mother Krampus. Yeah, we'll never get that time back.
Oh dear.
Okay, so now Krampus the Christmas Devil is in first position.
Oof.
Mother Krampus is at number 2.
We're going to have to change this pronto.
Okay, so what have we got?
A classic. A Christmas Horror Story.
Ah, yes.
I hear you cry out with joy.
Oh, A Christmas Horror Story. If you haven't seen A Christmas Horror Story, that is one of my favourite Christmas gems. It has actually got William Shatner in it.
Yeah, he's playing like a DJ, and it kind of revolves around his DJ radio station. Yeah. It kind of acts almost as an anthology movie. It's got a couple of different things going on.
I like it because it's all set at Christmas Eve, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Christmas Eve in Bailey Downs.
Bailey Downs actually comes up in another movie.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Let me think. Listeners are going to be screaming at me right now. See, that's it. It's like when you have things like Nightmare on Elm Street, which are in... what's Nightmare on Elm Street? Which town's that in? Oh, I can't think. What about Halloween?
Halloween, that's Haddonfield.
So you have these horror franchises that have a town that keeps recurring.
Yeah.
And Bailey Downs, it's come to me now.
Yeah.
I had to keep talking to
Good. I was
drag it out there.
I was going to... Yeah.
Ginger Snaps.
Correct.
Ginger Snaps, werewolf movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was
a very good trilogy of werewolf movies.
Yeah. I did enjoy them as a werewolf movie. And the two actresses that played Ginger and her sister.
Bridget,
that's it. And I liked the third movie on that one because that one was...
That was a prequel.
And
Ginger Snaps back at the beginning.
Yeah, it was Ginger Snaps.
Ginger Snaps Unleashed.
And then Ginger
Snaps back at the bebeginning.
But they are in Bailey Downs.
Yes.
And this is based in Bailey
Downs. I think it was made by the same people.
It's great. But William Shatner's really good in it.
Yeah.
It's really good. And the thing is, it's is it three different stories?
3 or 4 stories.
One. Okay, yeah, because you
got the changeling one.
Some people in a school.
Locked in a school, yeah.
You've got
the Santa.
Santa. Is there a...
Yes, it's the Krampus one where they kind of get possessed by Krampus. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah, and that's where Krampus comes into this movie.
But he's in kind of two of the stories.
Yeah, and I like the Krampus as the Krampus that is presented
The creature design is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. They've spent the money on the Krampus creature.
Unlike Krampus the Christmas Devil.
if you actually see...
He's just a guy in a hood.
If you actually watch Christmas Horror Story, the Krampus in that... it's white. It makes a change because it's a white Krampus.
Yeah.
And I do believe after watching, I think it was behind the scenes.
He's muscular.
He's a really big muscle bodybuilder. And and as you say, the design was great.
I think this movie has pretty much anything you could want.
Yeah.
It's got action, horror,
and a really good twist.
Oh, that twist!
And I am not not spoiling the twist for anything, but it has got a brilliant twist that not only is like. It just makes you laugh, but it's just like, oh man.
It tops it off. It tops it off.
Yeah, so I'm going to, without a shadow of a doubt, Christmas Horror Story goes into number 1. There it is.
Okay, we're getting in.
What have we got next?
Next up.
Dun, dun, dun.
Krampus.
Now this was a big budget one, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was the kind of mainstream big budget Krampus movie. Okay. Now if you look at the front cover, compared to Christmas Devil.
They've just literally almost copied the artwork.
Because I think we got Krampus the Christmas Devil first. And you thought it was that one.
Yeah.
We then later got Krampus the big budget version the next year. So we were really disappointed with the Christmas Devil.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
Krampus takes it up a notch. I mean, it was a good fun movie.
I like it.
And I've watched it a couple of times.
Because Krampus in it is big.
Yeah.
He's kind of like wearing a big red hood.
Yeah,
and he kind of has like a Santa face, but the big tongue.
But he's not giving away too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's kind of silhouetted because he's jumping across roofs and stuff because they've got loads of CGI and stuff.
It's a difficult one to place now because having that one against a Christmas Horror Story, I mean, this episode is about Krampus.
Yeah.
And that film is about Krampus, whereas Christmas Horror Story has Krampus in it.
But he's on the front cover. Look, the bauble.
He's in it, but he's not the main character.
That is true.
Ooh, this is a hard one.
That is tough.
Yeah.
It's definitely above Mother Krampus and A Christmas Devil.
There is a huge chasm, the chasm of Gunnan Gap between Krampus, A Christmas Devil, and A Christmas Horror Story. But where were we going to put Krampus compared to The Christmas Horror Story?
I think, personally, if we're going for the horror factor, the scarier Krampus is in Krampus 2015.
Yep.
But I really do like the depiction of Krampus in A Christmas Horror Story.
But I think it's only fair to say that the whole focus of this podcast is about Krampus, and the movie Krampus is all about Krampus. Christmas Horror Story, as beloved as it is as a fantastic...
As a festive horror film...
Yeah, but it is not...
That is, like, top-notch.
But it's not solely Krampus. So, because simply we're discussing Krampus, I'm going to have to put Krampus in front of Christmas Horror Story. But...
It feels so wrong to do that, but I feel your justification is very valid on that point.
Yeah, I kind of feel A Christmas Horror Story is better in a lot of ways than to Krampus.
Mm-hmm.
But Krampus is a total Krampus movie.
What I really like about Christmas Horror Story is kind of that anthology style, because it's very different. You don't usually get films like that now.
Yep.
Whereas everything's more kind of the single story.
Yep. But what I do recall about Krampus, the movie, is that there's a lot of physical effects in it.
Yeah, it's got like, I think Krampus actually got like all these little minions.
Yeah, he's got like these clown type
toys and things. There's an evil gingerbread man at one point.
Yeah, it's not so much. Was there any CGI in it? Perhaps a little.
A bit when he's jumping across the roofs.
Right, but the rest of it is all physical effects.
Yeah.
And actually, I quite like that. That's very 80s, and it was very well done.
Yeah, because it's kind of almost...
And very creepy.
Yeah, because in that, it's kind of like a base under siege, but it's the family house.
Yeah, the family house. Yeah.
And they get snowed in, and it turns out that...
But the family themselves aren't a very nice family.
No, most of them have it coming.
That's why Krampus is coming to visit. You know, remember Krampus. If you hear the bells,
remember the 5th of December.
It might not be Santa. Okay, so we're going to leave it Because this is a Krampus episode, Krampus is going in front of Christmas Horror Story.
Mm-hmm.
If I could, anyway,
Yeah.
it's going to stay there. What have we got next?
Our final one.
Okay, out of the 10
Yes.
that you found, and the 5 that we've watched.
Yeah, we're going to have to do another one next year when we've seen the
The
other
other
five.
5, yeah. Review
Final
them.
one. Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. Oh,
Suit you, sir.
creme de la creme.
Suit you, sir.
This is really good.
Now, this one is actually it's Scandinavian, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a Scandinavian movie. So along the same sort of lines as Troll Hunter,
Similar.
Dead
yeah.
Snow,
Yeah, it's subtitled,
Yeah,
so
so-
it does have that.
but it does have some English speakers in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are people that speak English. So as long as you don't mind reading the subtitles and you don't find that detracts from the movie,
Which I don't.
yeah, I don't know, it's fine. But it's really, really good.
Yeah. Oh,
Really good. You said that the Krampus in the movie, all the listeners are getting, I'm saying Krampus so much. The last movie, which is called Krampus, had a gigantic Krampus in it.
yeah.
Rare Exports
Blooming
has a
massive.
kaiju Krampus. It's ridiculous.
Because it kind of revolves around the fact that they kind of discover this kind of ancient burial mound.
Yeah, it's like Krampus has become, the December the 5th Krampus runs festival kind of thing. That it's a thing which is become a tradition, but everybody actually has forgotten the reality behind it,
Yeah.
and then they accidentally discover the reality behind it.
Well, that's the thing. They think they have captured Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah, that's right, they do. Now, that might sound comical in a way, but they think they have, but they haven't.
It's the way it's presented is so creepy.
Yeah, it's for me, what gets me is the elves.
Yeah.
Elves.
Because that's it. They think it's Santa, but they're actually the elves.
The elves are old men,
Yeah.
and they think that that's Santa.
Yeah.
Because
there's loads of them.
people have this preconception of that Santa is a
A bearded old man.
bearded old man, and it's not. They are old, naked men actually.
Yeah.
But they are so creepy.
So creepy. They just kind of stare at you.
And then they find Krampus.
They can smell the blood of
That's it.
children.
They can smell children. You see, that's what kind of reanimates.
Because they kind
them.
of kidnap
'Cause they-
the
yeah.
children and everything.
Oh man, it's a good movie, that one.
Makes you want to watch it,
love
doesn't it?
But the thing is, it's the star of the movie is the little boy,
Yeah.
and he has been in what was that Samuel L. Jackson movie,
Big game.
Big Game, and I think he's been in several movies. That little lad.
Since this, yeah.
Yeah, and he does a fantastic job, and I love his.
Whoopee.
He's got his little toy.
Whoopee.
Whoopee.
It looks like kind of like a. It's kind of like just like a furry bag
Yeah, on a string.
that he drags across the floor. It's so cute. It's so cute.
Come with me, Whoopee. I want a Whoopee.
Yeah. There you
I
go.
should have a Christmas Whoopee.
We talked about budget Christmas this year.
Yeah. Well, budget Christmas. We're having imagination Christmas.
I've got a pogo stick.
I've got a Hulu.
Woohoo! Imagination Christmas.
Yay!
That was a
Yes.
Simpsons reference.
That's right. It's because everybody's got no money this year. Got to think about paying the bills. So anyway, Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. Totally a Krampus movie.
Totally a Krampus movie. Definitely recommended. Definitely recommended. So I think for the kind of lead position, it's the difference between the mainstream Krampus movie
Yep.
and Rare Exports A Christmas Tale, which is kind of almost our preferred go-to when it comes to Krampus.
Yeah, when you're talking Krampus, if it would be Rare Exports for me.
Yeah, I personally Rare Exports, but I think if you're new to Krampus, you want to see what Krampus is all about,
Go to Krampus.
go to Krampus 2015, the mainstream version.
And if you're familiar with Krampus, then definitely go for A Christmas Horror Story.
Definitely recommended. Mother Krampus and Krampus the Christmas Devil. Yeah, you can pass on those.
Yeah,
you don't need to watch them.
unless you are a complete film nut who is happy to give up that time to watching them just so that you know you've watched them. Yeah, watch them, but don't spend any money on them.
Yeah,
Please.
get them free if you
Get
can.
them free if you can, or if somebody
If anyone wants them free on DVD, comment below.
go below.
Postage charges may apply.
Yeah, postage charges may lie. Yeah, unless you can come pick them up. Anyway, so we're going to put Rare Exports top of the list.
I think so.
Okay, So let's have a rundown.
Okie dokie. In 5th place, we have...
Mother Krampus.
In 4th place, we have...
Krampus the Christmas Devil.
In 3rd place, we have...
A Christmas Horror Story.
In 2nd place...
Krampus.
In 1st place...
Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. Oh, that's so choice.
What a fine selection. Well,
selection.
The top three. The top three are fine selection. The other two...
We won't talk about them.
We'll chuck them in the bin.
Bargain bucket bin.
Bargain bucket, yeah. See if we can give them all.
Anyway, and so that's all about Krampus.
Krampusnacht.
Krampusnacht. Now, it's time, if I'm not mistaken, to reveal Word of the Week.
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 There we go.
Okay, so the word of the week was Sakudry.
I don't know what Sakudry is, Zach.
So, would you like to know what Sakudry is?
I would like to know what Sakudry is so that I can use Sakudry in a conversation.
So, Sakudry means arrogance or conceit in Anglo-Norman.
So if I think somebody's being arrogant or conceited, I can say, this person is very Sakudry.
That sounded very Scottish.
Sakudry.
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 If you say it, then your pronunciation doesn't need to be exact.
Okay, Sakudry.
Sakudry.
Oh, what a Sakudry type of person.
Honestly, what a... I don't know how to use that in a sentence, actually.
That person is very Sakudry.
So, we've learned all about Krampusnacht! Well, I've certainly learned a lot more about Krampus than I ever thought I really could, because all I thought was, he's just a goat man dude who whips children.
And they stick him in movies.
Yeah.
No, it's a real long-lived...
Lots of mythology there, folklore.
Paganism. And it's great. And if you've never heard of Krampusnacht, you've never heard of Krampus, I think you should. I think you should add it into your...
Festive season.
Festive season.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe to this channel and comment below any suggestions of topics or activities you'd like to listen to in future episodes. You can find the Now We Know Show podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts. Check out the Zak Wylde Productions social media pages on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, or visit the Zak Wylde Productions website at www.zakwyldeproductions.com. Please get in contact, we'd love to find out how you're listening to us. So get in touch in the comments and don't forget to check out Zak Wylde Productions on Patreon to become an official ZWP patron today. That's a big Krampusnacht. Goodbye from Zak.
And that's listen out for the bells on Krampusnacht. Goodbye from Buzz. Goodbye.
Good Krampusnacht. Ow!